Today we're looking at the diversification of how much should you put into an annuity, Dick.
Well, and that is a common question. We're asked all the time. How much should I put in any one company, and should I break it up into multiple companies? Why would somebody tend to question?
Yeah.
Why would somebody tend to just put it all in one company, Eric? I mean, we've had situations where they want to put close to $1 million or more in one company. Why would they do that?
Well, and the easy answer is they have found the best annuity for their particular situation that gives them the best returns and satisfies their goals. And it's tough when one company is the best to then say, all right, well, let me, for diversification purposes,
let's divide this up.
Let's just divide it up and
use
go
some
to the
second choices or third choices,
and
right?
Sometimes you'll have a significant difference between company A and company B. And so it's tough to make that decision to step down when it may be even a prudent from a safety and a security standpoint.
And yet that is the recommendation that we'll make many times, and even to our chagrin, someone will say, hey, this one gives me so much more. And they may be in a good position if there was something that went wrong, for heaven forbid, that they would have the resources to accept that.
Right. And we should say, really, when we start looking at dividing up things, there's a threshold that we're usually gauging against.
Right.
And this is going to be different for each individual state, but each state has a guarantee association.
Yes.
Now, the big caveat
do
here,
our disclaimer.
Yeah, the disclaimer here is as an agent, that's not one of the things that we typically introduce into the buying decision of the consumer.
Right. We're not really allowed to.
Yeah. Do not tell anybody, otherwise we'll have to kill you, is what it is. So it should be part of the decision and part of our recommendation process. However, the first and foremost has to be the claims paying ability of the insurance company.
Right.
When we're making a recommendation, we should be feeling comfortable that as long as you're going to be there to collect those dollars, that insurance company is going to be there to pay those dollars.
Correct. And it's a common knowledge thing that there is a state guarantee association. It's very regularly brought up to us by prospective clients and clients. And it varies from state to state.
Right.
So it can be as low as maybe 100,000 up to maybe even a $500,000.
Right.
And so the question is, do I just put as much in there as the guarantee association will cover, and that becomes a personal decision.
Right.
We have we're put in a quandary. We actually have some applications that we fill out that say, did you take into account for this client the guarantee association? And we're not supposed to do that, but we're
supposed to take it into consideration, but we're not supposed to tell you we're taking it into consideration.
Yeah. So it's one of these catch-22s and the awkward aspects of our business. But most folks do feel that it is somewhat prudent to diversify somewhere near that amount that's guaranteed with the State Guarantee Association, and especially when they're putting larger amounts of money in. And yet, for some situations, which I've had to agree with the client, what their objectives are that one company meets, they're more than willing to put $1 million or more into that company, knowing the safety record of the company and everything that surrounds their decision.
Right. It's all balancing it. It's balancing in flexibility. It's if you're not committing a significant portion of your portfolio necessarily into one company, you may be willing to go above and beyond that kind of threshold that the state kind of backs up for you. So
well, and we've had the other extreme. I mean, this is you got to say, everybody has this concern, but we've had people that have 50,000 or 75,000, and they're not sure if they should put it all in one company.
Right.
So
and it's an individual decision.
It is.
However, there also becomes an aspect where you're trying to chase too many buckets across town,
right. It's not practical.
Right.
So generally speaking, the annuities are one of the safest places that you can put money. They've got just an incredibly good track record, really even exceeds the banking track record, but it doesn't have the FDIC protection, which is the backing of the federal government.
Right, exactly. So, and we should probably mention that there are times, most frequently, that we actually do recommend breaking up even premiums that are going to one company into multiple contracts, which is a whole different aspect, but there's a rationale there for flexibility.
Yes.
We've talked about laddering in other videos, ways of controlling for inflation.
And this really is an area where we could do an entire video, and maybe that'll be our segue into a video next week or in the near future. But the idea of taking 300,000 or 500,000 and then breaking it up into 3, 4, 5 contracts for 100,000 each gives you a lot more flexibility on that income rider, so that you may think I'm going to need, all of this money in 3 years to turn this income on, or in 8 years or 10 years. But what if you just need a little of it in a year or two?
Yeah.
And then you can let a lot of it ride even longer than you thought.
Yeah.
So just gives you that flexibility.
Yeah, the guaranteed growth as well as the additional flexibility. And I think that's the key aspect with why you would want to even consider doing that. So it's not unusual for an advisor to say, you walk in and say, hey, I've got $300,000, and he comes back with 3 sets of paperwork for the same company. And so don't be surprised if they're breaking it up.
Well, if they weren't breaking it up, I would really question what the advisor's thinking.
Well, it's streamlining the process, probably.
Yeah. So Eric, when it comes down to how much do we put into an annuity, how much do we diversify? Give me that exact amount.
That exact amount is. It depends. It depends on your situation. It depends on your liquidity. It depends on your assets.
Work with a good advisor. It makes a real difference.
Because then it won't depend.
Thank you.